Hi everyone, welcome to our video. So for this video, we're going to talk about your second to the last module. Okay, time check, it's 11:45, quarter to 12. Okay, let's start with where is that? Your module 4. And so I am hoping that you were able to download your fourth module. Okay, so because after this video, I'm going to give you a 10 item multiple choice type of assessment wherein it will be 2 points each. So all in all, it will be 20 points for this particular module. All right, so we have recap tayo. Module 1 and 2, we have your underlying principles under your conceptual framework of mathematics education, elementary mathematics education. Okay. Module 3 is more on the twin goals. What are again the twin goals of mathematics basic education? So we have your critical thinking and then we have your problem solving skills. And we also enumerated some specific skills that your learners should develop after they graduate in the elementary. Aside from that, we also have the values, of course. It comes with the values, not only the knowledge, the skills, but also the values. And then we also mentioned the course content of basic math. Okay, we have your number and number patterns. We have your measurement. We have your geometry. Okay, we have your probability and statistics. Yan. So, algebra is also there. Okay. Next, let's have your approaches and methods in teaching mathematics. This one is kinda not new to you, but let me just go over with this module. Okay, let's start with your instructional methodologies. Okay, so it says here, employing a variety means different, so it's not only one, is the best guarantee of attaining desired learning outcome. What do you mean by learning outcome again? So we have your learning objective. So what do you want to achieve on that particular subject? It says there employing, so it would be better if you use what? Single or diverse? Okay, types of assessment, the answer is we have your diverse. So it would be better if you will use several types of methods so that you'll be able to attain your learning outcome. However, in number 2, it says there that there is no single best method. Of course, okay? It will always change depending upon some factors, which will be discussing later on. Okay. Next, the teacher's decision is in choosing is crucial. So you as future teachers, your role is very crucial when it comes to choosing your methodology. Of course, because you are the final say. You'll give the final say, I should say. Right? So your role is crucial because once you chose the wrong method for a specific topic, okay, your learning objectives might not be attained or accomplished. Alright? Next, aside from that, we have the fourth important thing. Teachers' competence in implementing is of paramount importance. What do we mean by that? So aside from, okay, you actually define the, most suited method for that particular lecture. Now the question is, were you able to implement it properly? Okay, because if not, even if your method is really good, very ideal, if you as a teacher won't be able to competently implement that particular method, then the desired learning outcome will not be attained as well. Okay, so those are the important concepts that you should use in your instructional methodologies. Now, what are the factors in choosing your methods? Of course, number one, we have your age and instructional level. It actually differs with the age of your learners. It goes with your instructional level. Of course, you're going to categorize them. The method that you will use for grade 1 pupils may not be suited for your grade 2 pupils. Okay? And it goes with your grade 3 pupils. Alright? So aside from that, you have your inclusive education, right? So what if in your grade 1 classroom, there's actually parang an older student. Okay? Now, you try to adjust your method if in case that particular student is more advanced. Okay? Next, we have your interest. So when we say interest, it is actually the span of attention of a particular pupil. Okay? So of course, it will change. What if you decided to have pure lecture type? And then you check on the interest of your students that most of your students are not listening anymore. Will you continue using lecture type of method? Okay? You try to revise it. Yan. Next, we have your abilities of your students. So it goes with your age. Okay? We also have your abilities. Of course, even if your students are of the same age, there will always be students who are more advanced. Right? Other factors such as, for example, they were enrolled on a tutorial. Okay? Tutorial session with other teachers outside your classroom. Okay? They were tutored by their parents. They actually love reading books. They want to have you their advanced reading. Okay? Such factors may affect the ability of several students. Now, you try, okay? If you have a heterogeneous class, what do we mean by heterogeneous? You have your mixed class wherein you have your excellent or your parang advanced learners, we have your moderate learners, and then we have your improving learners. Okay, for example, now what particular strategy or method will you use so that you'll be able to, you know, get, okay, you'll be able to obtain your learning outcome even if you have your diverse types of learners. Okay? It's good if you have an ideal type of classroom wherein your students are homogeneous. What do I mean by homogeneous? They are pretty much the same. Okay? You'll be able to, use a specific method. You won't be able to, have a hard time in choosing what specific method will you use kasi nga, they are most likely homogeneous or they are the same. Okay. Another one, we have your availability of your materials. Why do we include this one in your teaching methodology? Okay, we all know that, of course, Philippines actually has, problems when it comes to education, and one of which is your lack of resources. Okay, what if you really have a good proposed method? However, when you check on the materials that are needed, okay, you were actually parang short when it comes to the resources. What you will do is to try to revise your method. Okay? It's good if you'll be able to improvise your own resources, but what if there are really no available resources or materials used by your learners? Not only you as a teacher, but also with the learners. Okay? Now, that is a factor on how or what particular methodology will you use. Okay, so that's just an introduction. Let's go to your approaches. Okay, so first one, approaches muna tayo. Letter A, we have your direct instruction approach. Okay, or also known as your expositive. Right? So when we say expositive, it's like extemporaneous speaking like that. It's more on how you're going to expound things. Okay? Explore, explain, ganyan. Okay, it says here, it is a teacher-directed, teacher-dominated. Okay? So, it's not learner, okay, centered, but it is more teacher-centered type of approach. Wherein, okay, it's more on your procedural knowledge. Rather than what, it is actually more on the steps. And as you can see here, we have your step-by-step manner. Alright, so most likely for direct instructional approach, we use your performance-based subjects. Okay, so what are those subjects that are within this particular, approach? So, for example, in a PE class, okay, how are you going to let them perform if you will not instruct them first? So you teach the step-by-step way on how they dance. And then later on, they're going to perform it. Okay? So their performance will become their form of assessment. And it says there, learning through imitation, behavioral modeling. Therefore, as you teach the steps, they'll be able to imitate it. So, what are the steps under our direct instructional approach? So, first, you provide the rationale. So, parang the objectives, why do you need to learn that particular lesson? Okay. Next one, you demonstrate the skill that you want them to learn. Next, after demonstrating it, okay, so you let them watch first. So you do it, kasi nga it's teacher-centered, you do it first. And then you provide guidance while they practice. Okay? Next, while they are practicing, you also need to check for your understanding and feedback. So, why not move around and then check? Okay? Were you able to follow it? Okay? Or ask additional questions. What will you do next? Okay. Next, we have your provide extended practice and transfer. So if in case that for this day, they were not able to finish it, you try to do it on the next day. And however, you try to parang revise on the next day, you let them do it by themselves. That's why there is their transfer of knowledge. Okay, so that is your direct instruction approach or direct instructional approach. That is null. Next, let's have your deductive approach. Okay, so for deductive approach, as you can see, it is under direct. So deductive method is under your direct approach. So still, of course, since this is teacher-dominated, this is also teacher-dominated. So we have abstract rule, generalization, principles to specific examples, concrete to details, not supported by the principle. Learning is an active process, uninteresting at first. Okay, let's try to boil it down. So when we say deductive method, you'll start with a general principle. Okay, and then you're going to break that particular general into a more specific ones. Okay, so from general going to specific, that is your deductive method. Okay, and then it says they're not supported, supportive by the principle. Learning is an active process. Why? Because if it is an active process, the learner gets to know first, and then he or she is going to generalize. But in here, the teacher will give the generalization, and then the students will let them turn into parts. That's why it is uninteresting at first, because most likely they do not really know, okay, that particular concept that you are trying to, okay, introduce. Kasi nga, the generalization comes first. Alright? Example for a deductive method. So, for example, under your addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, you started with a worded problem. Alright? And then now, you try to ask them, what do you think is the answer? okay, to this particular problem. So for example, Anna is holding 3 bananas, like that. Those questions for addition. And then uh, Mark is holding 5 bananas, but one ate 2 bananas. How many bananas are left? Okay, for example, you started with that general concept. Now, you try now to ask the students. Do you think the students will be able to, you'll be able to parang catch their attention by that? Okay? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's why it says there, it is uninteresting at first because they really do not have any idea, assume that this is the first time that they will, uh, encounter problem solving. Next, after showing the problem, you will now provide the examples. You will now show the steps on how they be able to solve the problem. Okay, so that is the deductive method. You'll start with a general idea and then you let to and then later on you're going to provide examples and specific details. So for the next problem, you let them solve. Okay? Example 2, since you already taught them how to, solve that particular problem. Next, let's have your lecture method. So after your deductive, you have your, by the way, deductive is just the opposite of inductive. For inductive, you will try to start with a single um, lesson or information, and then you let them generalize at the end. That is inductive. Okay, so for lecture method, most likely, yes, since this is under here direct instruction approach, lecture method is also teacher dominated, procedural solutions, sophisticated steps. Okay, when do we use lecture method? Of course, this is for principles like science, mathematics, okay, wherein you really need to discuss each and every step. What's the difference between this this one, okay, and your deductive method? So for deductive method, you'll start from a general principle going to specific ones, okay? But in here, in lecture dominated or lecture method, okay, you're going to provide the steps right away and then you let them solve the problem. Yan. So that is your lecture type. Make sure, okay, take note, sophisticated steps, therefore, most likely it's more complex. Okay, next we have your guided or exploratory. So that is direct approach, teacher dominated, aka expositive. Let's go to your direct or exploratory. So in here, we will insert your inquiry approach. It is self-directed, okay, termed as discovery. As mentioned on our principles, discovery method is under your inquiry based. Okay? Heuristic is also another term for problem solving. Okay? Modeled after the investigative process of scientists, we have your scientific method. Yan, you try to recall. We have your direct experiences because they are going to do it by themselves. Okay? Students are independent learners. So as you can see here, unlike your direct instruction that the teacher will do it first, okay, the students will just watch. For guided or exploratory, you let them discover it by themselves so that they'll have their direct experiences. So focused questions to provide direction and sustain action. Okay, this is very important. Since you let them do it on their own, you should always start with your guide questions so that they will know which particular path will they go. Okay, because just make sure kasi you are actually dealing with pupils are, they're still young, so they should know what to do, right? So make sure you have your focused questions or your guided questions, if you can still recall If you have tried to make your reflection papers, oh, try to think of it. Reflection papers are very open, right? Now you can write anything there so that your teachers will be able to limit, okay, the flow of your parang reflection. They'll give you focused questions or guide questions. Okay. Next, under your guided or exploratory, we have your inductive method. Okay. Again, this is just the opposite of your deductive. When we say inductive method, less teacher directed, okay, specific. That's why I mentioned a while ago, the teacher will just give you the steps and then they let you do it and then you come up with your generalization or principle. Okay? Next, learners are more engaged because unlike your direct approach wherein they do not have any idea at first, in here, they'll be able to know it once you tell them the steps. Okay? Interesting outset, yan, very opposite of your direct or deductive. And then it develops HOTS. What are HOTS? We have your higher order thinking skills. Okay, so under your Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domain, so we have your Kika-Ase, if you can still recall. So um, knowledge, comprehension, application, those are under your lots or lower order. So, after that, we have your synthesis, evaluation, yung mga ganon. Those are your higher order thinking skills. Okay, now, maybe you'll ask, Mom, so since you're saying that this is more interesting, so it would be better if we always use inductive method instead of deductive method. Okay, let's go back to our introduction. Wherein it says there is no best single method. You try to explore. Okay, now if you check that your learners were able to understand the lesson better using deductive method or inductive method, you try to adopt that method in teaching the other one. Okay, next topic. How would you know that if that it is effective? It will go back to the assessments. We have your measurement, evaluation, and your assessments. Okay. Next, problem solving method. Okay, so it says there it employs scientific method. Okay. Aside from that, we also have your Polias way of problem solving. Yan. Problem specific, guess, investigate, and then come up with a conclusion. So, emphasis on procedure or processes rather than the products. Ma'am, edi parang the same lang din siya dito. Kasi it says there, it's more on the process. Okay? Yes, on that part. However, it's more on guided, okay, or exploratory because sometimes under problem solving method, okay, it's not really that you will give the specific, solution, right? Kasi nga in mathematics, as they say, okay, there are several solutions, multiple solutions that will come up with the same answer. Okay? And as a teacher, you will not dictate that this is the only solution. No. Okay? You are going to limit the creativity of the students on how to solve problems. That's a no-no in mathematics. So you encourage them to design their own way of solving. And that is under your problem solving method. Okay, so it says there, develop skills and attitudes takes priority over knowledge. Why? Of course, you become more diligent in solving your problems, especially if you cannot get the right answer. Tama? Okay? Than the knowledge. Okay? So, in here, it's not the final answer that we're checking. It's actually the solution. Next, we have still under your guided, we have your project method, hands-on, minds-on method. Okay? Learning by doing, self-directed. So, present in a concrete form, learn concept or principle. So, it can be tangible or intangible. What do I mean by tangible? For example, project-based. So, you try to let them create something That's tangible. You can see it. Okay? How about if it's intangible? So when we say intangible, you just try to, parang share. Alright? So for example, they come up with a certain parang procedure or a certain formula. Yung mga yan. So that can become a project still. And this is a very important thing. It should be agreed upon by the teacher and the student. It's not only you as a teacher that will assign that this is your project, this is your project, this is your project. You also let your students agree to it. Okay? Maybe a task or a product, as I mentioned. Okay? A product, tangible. So for a task, so for example, you let them do their reporting. Mga ganyan. O, pwede ring video documentation. Pwede ring what else? So, kunyari, newscasting, mga ganon. So, anything that you think in mind that which can be by a task or by a product can become a project. Okay? So far, we're done with the two approaches. Let's move to the third one, which is your constructivist approach. So it says there, results from constructed meanings. So again, okay, still under direct experience pa rin siya. However, it is after the experience. So what are the learnings that you have learned after? Okay? So you construct a certain knowledge based from your previous knowledge or previous experience. Says there, prior knowledge plus present learning activity. Okay? So we have construct and reconstructing meaning. Okay? So for example, uh, a particular teacher, parang you actually grew up knowing that the pronunciation of table is table. Okay? And then, a certain teacher is correcting you. Now, you try to relate your previous knowledge about that. You try to construct and reconstruct your knowledge. So, from now on, since from your previous knowledge, you'll say that uh, based from my previous teacher, the pronunciation is table instead of table. Okay? That is your prior knowledge. Now you try to reconstruct. Therefore, the correct one would be table. Right? So just like that. Says there, experience alone may not result to learning. It is recall. Okay? Objective evaluation that results to new understanding. That's why I mentioned it's not always your previous knowledge. What if your previous knowledge is a wrong one? So you always try to recall it and then check it. Okay? Try to evaluate it. Of course, how are you going to evaluate it? You try to use other sources. Not only your previous teacher, you try to ask your present teacher, former instructors, and the like. Next, let's have your letter D. So for letter D, it says there we have your cooperative learning approach. So in here, you're going to work in groups or teams. It uses group dynamics. When you say group dynamics, it's actually more on, it's not stagnant, it's always changing. Okay? Democratic procedures and collaboration. So, not only one person is working under cooperative learning, it's always the summation of all of the outputs from your members led by your team leader. Okay? So, characterized by string, motivation, and interpersonal interactions. Okay? So, it says there, what is string motivation? Okay? That if one person is working, it can actually pull the other person. And with that, there is interpersonal interactions wherein you're going to socialize with your other teammates. Alright? So we have your important components under cooperative learning approach. We have your cooperative incentive structure wherein a reward. Okay? Interdependent. Okay? So interdependent reward is given. Alright? So in here, cooperative task structure. Baka naman isipin nyo to. What if a certain teacher gives a reward, okay? But make sure that all of your members, okay, For example, you're a teacher and then you tell them, okay, class, I'm going to give +5 for the group who has um, who is the fastest to solve this problem. So for example, but make sure that all of you will be working. Mga ganon, since it is interdependent. Okay, so your reward is going to be the plus point, and you see to it that it is interdependent. It's still connected, not only made by a single person from the group. Right. Next, we have your cooperative task structure. Okay. So, situation, coordinating efforts to complete the task. Right. So, in here, for example, you're having your research. One person will do the chapter 1, another person or 2 to 3 persons will do chapter 2, and chapter 3 will be 2 persons. So make sure that it is the collaboration of all of the efforts of the whole team. Okay? So those are your approaches. Let's have your methods or strategies. So these are just sample, okay, strategies. We have your peer tutoring or peer teaching. When we say peer, there should be a partner here. Okay, so the best way to learn is to teach, which is true. So for example, you're listening to a math class. This is the very common thing. Okay, so in my experience in teaching mathematics, both basic education and then college level, my students, when I do my lecture, they actually listen to it. And then they think that they already know. Now, their seatmate will ask something. Okay? It is a test whether or not you really understood the lesson once you teach that particular seatmate of yours. So once there's a transfer of knowledge, okay, the knowledge that you have gained from the lecture will be deepened. Alright, that's why it says there the best way to learn is to teach. You try to transfer your knowledge so that it will be embedded in you. You won't be able to forget that concept. Okay, we have your think, pair, share. What do we do in think, pair, share? Just like my example. You're going to think individually. Okay? Individual yan muna. Then, you're going to pair with someone. Okay, so for example, you're going to pair with your crush so that you'll be inspired. Pair with your crush. What will you do? You're going to share the ideas. Oh, here's what I know. And then he will, eventually share what he knows. Oh, this is what I know. So after that, you're going to pair with with another pair until you get to corroborate. That is your think, pair, share. Okay, we have your tutoring arrangement. Instructional tutoring, one-on-one or one-to-group. So in here, so all you have to do is to, tutor one person to one-to-one. Okay, so for example, you're a teacher, then you want to tutor one student. So that's instructional tutoring. Aside from that, we also have you're a teacher and then you try to call in your group mates and then you try to teach them what to do. Still under instructional tutoring. Okay. Next, we have your same age tutoring. So in here, we have your interactive pairs. So for example, by a pair, so pair 1 and then pair 2, they're going to discuss, okay, the knowledge or the insights they know about a certain topic. Okay? So in here, that is your same age tutoring. Next, we have your monitoring tutoring. Okay, monitors lead for each group. What are you going to do here is, so if you will have your FS, field study, okay, so you'll have your monitors there. What you will do is that me as your teacher will not be able to monitor you individually. Tama? Sa sobrang dami ninyo. What will I do is that I will assign monitors per team. That particular monitor, or leader is going to monitor the members. And then, what will I do is to monitor the monitors or the team leaders. I'm going to call them one by one to report to me. Okay, how's your team? How's your group? Are they doing good? Ganyan. That is your monitoring tutoring. Okay? Structural tutoring administered by trained tutors naman ito. Okay? So, yung kanina kasi, those are just parang by my personal opinion, I'll make you a team leader. Okay? Or by voluntary, if they volunteer to become team leaders, they're not really trained. So in here, the only difference is that we have your trained tutors. Next, we have your semi-structured tutoring can be modified according to duties. When you by duties, the one that you are tutoring, interest or skill. Okay, so in here, all the things that you want to tutor to someone will be based upon the students, okay, your duties, interest, or the skills that they want to develop. Okay, next. So that is peer tutoring. We have your partner learning or your study buddy. Okay? Bakit dito? Anong kaibahan niya, ma'am? Dito at dito. Parehas namang may ka-partner. So in here, your partners can be changed. Okay? So in here, think pair share. So after one pair, you go to another pair. So in here, the student chooses. Or sometimes it is assigned. Okay? So from now on, this will be your study buddy. So at the end of the course, I'll see if you improve. I'll check if you're going to improve your performance through your study buddy. Okay? How are you going to do that? So for example, your advanced learners, you try to assign them to your improving learners as their study buddies so that the improving learners would have a guide. Okay? Your more knowledgeable one. Diba? Okay? So, there. Bodies are responsible for each other's learning. Held accountable for own learning. Okay? Ma'am, baka naman kawawa naman yung nakakaalam. Kasi, lagi na lang niyang tinuturuan yung walang alam. Maybe that's your question. That's why I said, the best way to learn is to teach. Mind you, that particular advanced learner, okay, mas matututunan pa niya yung lesson kapag tinuturo niya doon sa improving na learner. Okay? That's why each other is accountable for their own learning. Okay? So, yung improving learner naman, you see to it that he or she is not very dependable with the advanced learner. So, make sure that nakaka-ano pa rin siya mag-isa, independent. Okay? So, those are your sample strategies and your techniques. Okay? Let me see if I can have your activity. So, for this module, you will have your last. Yay! Charot. This is your last activity for LMEd 103 under midterms. But this is not your last topic, ha? Your last module, still going to post it, which is your module 5. Yan. Not responding. Oh, wait lang. Ayan, muntik ko nang ma-open. Yung activity nyo pala dito is a short quiz. So, all you have to do is to try to recall the, concepts that I have just lectured under Module 4. And then, whenever you're ready, all you have to do is to go to your Canvas. Okay, go to your Canvas on the, where is my Canvas? Okay, go to your Canvas, go to your quiz tab, then take your quiz there. Alright, it is good for 10 minutes, so make sure that you have stable net connection before taking your quiz. Okay, let's proceed to your module 5. So for module 5, I know you're tired, but I'll just, go over with this quickly. So Module 5 are your key stage and grade level standards. Okay. Learning area, the learner demonstrates understanding and appreciate of key concepts and principles of mathematics as applied using appropriate technology and problem solving, critical thinking, communicating, reasoning, making connections, representations, and decisions in real life. This is the whole learning area standard of your K to 12 basic mathematics education. Okay, this is from kinder until your senior high school. So under your course, which is grade intermediate, primary grade, so the key standard is here. At the end of grade 3, okay, make sure that they be able to understand and appreciate key concepts and skills involving numbers and number sense. So whole numbers up to 10,000 and the four fundamental operations. We have your addition, multiplication, division, including money. So addition of money, subtracting money. We have your ordinal numbers. Okay, which one is greater than, which one is less than, sorry, up to the hundredth. Okay, so first, second, third, mga ganon. Basic concepts of fractions, basic pa lang naman. Siguro 1/2 plus 1/2 is equal. You should know. Okay, so measurement, we have your time, length. We'll go over with the steps on, the specific topics on our finals. That's why I will give any activities for Module 5 anymore. Okay, all you have to do is to read and go over with the module. So these are the key standards that we should, target. So we have your grade level standards, more specific, ito. Yan, just go over with it. Yan. So that is your last module. Okay, so that will be the content of your midterms from module 1 until module 5. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you so much. Let's sleep and see you tomorrow. Later pala.